Hello friends. Today I'm going to give you an introduction and an explanation of my personal experiences regarding the hybrid children, the sixth human hybrid race, also known as the Shalanaya. So I've been asked from time to time, who are these hybrid children? Where did they come from, and what is their story? Well, all of my information comes from Bashar, and what he has shared is this remarkable revelation that there was an alternative timeline, an alternative version of Earth, where the humans genetically engineered and cloned themselves to the point that they were on a failed timeline. Well, in order for them to survive, they were in dire need of viable and diverse human DNA. So they were granted permission to jump timelines, yes, right into our reality. So they began a program where they collected our DNA. All of us that participated in the program did so willingly on a high conscious level, on a soul level. These humans that jumped the timeline are known to us as the Greys, the ETs that are loosely called the Greys. The Shalanaya, the resulting species of human hybrid that is the result of this program, will soon be here on Earth. They're coming to be united with their families, their parents, their supporters, and they'll integrate into our human society. And together with the Shalanaya, we humans will create the future human race. And what a joyous thing this is for us, for our timeline. And it's very interesting to know that the reason we were selected to participate, that we were asked to participate in this program, is because we, not too long ago, were on a similar timeline as those humans that became the Greys. And because we were facing a high probability of a failed timeline, we were given this great opportunity to change course, to plot one that involves ascension and evolution into the fourth density and into a joyous welcoming into our galactic community with friends and family that have been supporting us for quite a long time. So for me personally, my journey began in a very visceral way in my early childhood. I have memories of 2 lucid dreams where I saw I would say, stereotypical alien beings coming for me. So they were short, they had white skin, bald heads, and these very large almond-shaped eyes, black eyes. And what I will never forget, that is imprinted into my memory, is the feeling I had of paralysis when they were coming. I could barely move, and in the midst of this experience, I felt very frightened. So the rest of that experience is blocked from my memory, which I understand is quite a kind thing because those experiences are difficult for us to integrate into our reality here. But as we approach this new time, this new time of integration. Doors are opening, and I've had this wonderful experience of the doors of my understanding of my hybrid children opening. As a young adult, I was fascinated about ETs and UFOs and paranormal. I would ask people about their experiences. This is something I did commonly. And once in a while, I would get a story that would just rock my world, blow my mind. But the most poignant of these stories came from none other than my own mother. So I asked my mom, have you ever had an encounter, or have you ever seen a UFO? And my mom started to unwrap this story. So when we were young, my sister and I were little children, my mom would drive us in the middle of the night from our home in South Carolina, south, to Florida to visit my grandparents. And she picked this time, the wee hours of the night, to do this driving so that my sister and I would sleep through our whole road trip, which was a very convenient thing for my mom traveling alone. And she was driving on one of those straight two-line roads that today is probably a freeway, but endless miles of just straightaway two-lane road in the middle of nowhere with pine forests on either side of the road. No inhabitants, no other cars. And this bright white light came on above our vehicle. It surrounded us in a circle of light that matched us exactly at our speed. So my mom said that she was afraid and that she accelerated, but that the light never wavered, was always exactly centered around our vehicle. So she says that's the end of the story. But what I've come to realize is that the people that have had these contacts, like this one, a lot of them don't remember what happened after that. So I imagine that that might have been the time that our DNA was collected. That history, along with some other very curious happenings and circumstances in my life now and then, led me to ask Shaka, channeled by Brandon Bozarth, if I had any hybrid children. It's like I already knew I did, but I asked him that question, and before I even finished asking the question, he said, "Oh yes, you have 16 hybrid children." And what I felt was just, I don't know, a lot of excitement and joy around that. Like I said, it's like I already knew it. So what I would do from time to time is invite my hybrid children. I would imagine that they were with me, that they could sense and feel and see things through my senses. And times like cooking, I would smell things so they could smell it and taste and cut the vegetables. And it was really quite lovely, these as I imagine them, encounters. Then in more recent history, in a breath session, my hybrid children, I could see the space in front of me, and my hybrid children just one at a time just like swooshed in side by side, and each time one came in, they would say their name. And I remember a couple of the names. I remember the first one, Beth, and the second one, Camelot, and then there were others and others and others, and I'd say about another half dozen or so at that time. And it was just fun and exciting, just a nice introduction. Then in another experience, I was with my hybrid children in a dream. And in this dream, I was on board a ship. And we were having this game. And the game was high-paced, fast, and fun. And there was some type of anti-gravity or something that allowed us to basically fly, but we would bounce or jump off the sides of the walls and the ceilings, and we would throw the ball and bounce the ball and catch the ball and fly off one side onto another and through these corridors and rooms, and it was just joyful, and there was no competition to it. It was just building on each other's joy. It was just really magnificent. And the big breakthrough for me happened when I watched a recent episode of one of Bashar's videos entitled The 3 Behaviors of Connection. And what I learned is that in reaching up to my hybrid children telepathically, that timing is very important. So I have had experience where I've reached out and there's been no answer. And what I know through these teachings is that it's about the timing. So there's a way to be centered and to get the feeling that it's a good timing. And more often than not, I have had my hybrid children connect in with me. So that's the second behavior, is the communication part. So how it happens for me is that I see the hybrid child. I get a good look at my hybrid child. And then I ask his or her name. And I continue to ask questions. And sometimes the conversation is short, and sometimes it's a bit longer. And I've experienced them so far mainly as introductions. But there are some very extraordinary experiences that I've had, and very interesting information that's come across. And so I would like to share some of these in another video. And that video will be entitled, Meet My Hybrid Children. So friends, join me for my next video about my hybrid children, where I will share some fascinating information and describe some amazing interactions. Much love to you. See you soon.